We're live. All right. We're on. So we're excited to start doing this more. Basically, Amanda and I have really wanted to just start. Oh yeah, you turn the fan off. Just starting to connect more with community, to share more of our personal challenges and transmutations. We could even start there actually, because some people know we've been in this battle with the local landlords here. So we had a really interesting experience because we were going through the process of the hearings that they have scheduled for all these people are trying to evict. In Toronto, they're trying to evict
1,300 in 3 weeks, I think.
It's crazy. It's really like a crazy amount. And so basically the system here has become overwhelmed because so many landlords are just trying to like kick people out of their homes during COVID. Obviously, people losing jobs.
All online or by phone. The hearings are done by phone.
Yeah, so it was essentially like a really sloppy conference call with like all sorts of background noise. People being like, "What? I can't hear you."
People actually not being let into the waiting room by whoever was administrating. So that's a huge problem. Accessibility and people being left, lawyers being left in the waiting room when they're saying, "Hello, let me in, hello," and missing things. Huge problem. Huge problem with justice.
Yeah, I mean, justice is a big thing. And I really wanted to focus on this to a certain extent today because that's really, it's a big theme right now. It's a big theme. We really feel like we're in a position to stand up for justice. Yeah, it's a really big issue right now because there's a split in the legal community in Toronto that we found. When we were trying to find legal representation, half the lawyers are saying families should just take on the debt of the lockdown and continue to pay landlords with money they don't have, which is very surprising to find local, legal supports giving nothing but that advice and hardlining that. And then you have lawyers who are actually fighting for justice, who see the injustice in making people homeless because of the lockdowns and things like this. So, it's been a very interesting experience. Amanda happened to be working in the restaurant industry when this all went down. And so we did a lot of research and really, as it is in most places in the world, it's decimated here, totally decimated. So there's a lot of people going through this. But what seems to be the case is that the system can't handle it. And this is all these crumbling infrastructures. We're seeing this too. This is happening with the U.S. election. The infrastructure of the election is being called into question. And not just this election. What we're finding is that people have been rampantly cheating on both sides for a long time. Like Project Veritas, they have found a lot of Democratic cheating, but they found Republicans as well because really it wasn't secure. The elections were not secure. There's no federal standard how elections go across the entire United States. I found that pretty shocking. I didn't realize there's nothing to standardize it or keep unity across the different states on how it's done. So a lot of crumbling infrastructures, but they really have revealed themselves, like in terms of who we're dealing with, like landlords and people working with like landlord tenant boards. A lot of them are flailing. We also heard landlords who were super confused in this hearing, who just weren't showing up.
Landlords not showing up, so their cases were being dismissed. It's just a little bit wacky overall. And I'm sure, and anyone who has to face an eviction, whether it's your fault or not, it's a very intense process. So I feel for all of the people who maybe didn't have the proper representation. It's tough.
Yeah, we definitely heard like cases today who, they probably got screwed over because either they didn't know how to get into the weird janky phone room.
Yeah, like there's another organization, Toronto, Keep Your Rent, and they had been doing tweets earlier today of the second group of hearings, and just like the weird shenanigans that were going on where people couldn't hear each other and the video footage being strange and just things like that. Just updating the people constantly about what's really going on in the landlord-tenant hearings that are just starting, the COVID evictions.
Yeah.
The massive COVID evictions as Toronto locks down again on Monday, even more.
Oh yeah, they're shutting down all the malls. Restaurants can't even have people on patios because, that's scientific. Anyways, it's interesting that there's this big push for lockdowns going on across the world. Right now, they're doubling down to really make things harder for a lot of people. It's gonna be tough. But we honestly feel like we're in a good position. We have great legal representation. We're standing up for justice. Like the debt of the lockdown, the debt that was created in the lockdown is not ours to take on. In fact, we calculated, and it was like, the exact losses that the lockdown created were really, they really fit with exactly what we should have been making to not be in this position. And we weren't, able to access a lot of the funding some people could, just because of the weird little like bureaucratic loopholes and things that they created. So anyways, we're not worried, but like we are in this interesting position to be surrounded by people facing the same thing. And there are a lot of people not getting proper representation, a lot of people struggling to understand how this process works. So I don't know if anyone wants any more information on that. If anyone in our community is facing a similar situation, please reach out. Like, we've gathered a lot of insight on how this goes down. So many lovely people. I'm gonna say hello to my buddies here in the chat, some meme creators. Jisara. Okay. Jisara Nasara, this financial reset. This is a really interesting topic. Do you know much about this?
Yeah, I've been hearing about it.
Well, there's two paths to it, right? There's the financial reset that people have been talking about in truther communities, which is like throw out the Federal Reserve System and like create a moneyless society. Some people want that, right? Like Ubuntu is about moving in that direction eventually. But then there's also like the financial reset that's like, like we've been seeing, where people can't own anything, where you just rent things from drones. No one has private property, no ownership, no personal accumulation of wealth. So these financial resets are like, there's all these versions of them spinning around in the community right now.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, someone is giving me hints at who their real identity is.
Oh, okay. It's a riddle.
It's a riddle. So at times, I also identify as a whale. All right, I'll take your hint. So Amanda and I recently launched Good Resonance, this new wellness brand that, we felt was an opportunity to share a lot of our resources and a lot of the things we've experienced. And actually, we just finished a 5-day meditation challenge with some people. And, that was a really, really beautiful experience because, we finally got to, I think, create like a safe space for healing that we have been wanting and that we've been wanting to offer people. And if any of the people from that space arrive here today, hello, thank you for being in that space with us, for joining us for that. And we really look forward to offering more of those.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing in the coming months a few more meditation challenges, and it will be an exploration of oils and crystals and mindfulness practices. It's going to be really, really great. It's and it's so much more beautiful when you can just offer all these resources for free and gather people around the healing process together. And man, it's the best. I'm so happy we're doing it.
It's great. And everyone was participating, and you could feel it. You could feel when people were engaged, and that just uplifted everyone.
Yeah.
And it's tough. There's a lot of emotions going on. As much as we may be aware and have skills to help ourselves, we still have to experience those emotions too. It's nice to do it together.
Come to Florida with us next month. Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh.
I would love to. Thank you.
Let's get out of here.
I do kind of want to escape. It's true. It's true. Toronto's become much less appealing, even though we love the city.
I don't know.
They've
Yeah.
not made it a very nice place to live. It's very. We kind of have to just stay in our homes now. Like, I don't know what's.
Well, we'll see.
Ooh, what are your thoughts on the clone theory? Explicitly, which clone theory? Like celebrity clones? There's so many clone theories. Or you mean like politician clones? Clarify your question. Do you know anything about that stuff? Clones? Have you gotten into any of those rabbit holes?
No, I haven't.
It's deep.
I mean, I
dark.
hear a lot of people talking about it, but I haven't done my own research.
Well, I mean, the research that I've done, I will say, it's out in the open that people are like working on human cloning. Like, that's not conspiratorial. There's companies like fully invested in this. They're open about that being like their goal, and so I would say that anything that's that overtly on the surface, yeah, then obviously there's some sort of horrifying classified version of that. That's very logical at this point. You know, it's the sort of whatever's on the surface, then you know there's like a big horrifying pit underneath it, just doing terrible things.
That's totally.
Oh, yes. I see the theory you're talking about. Yes, deep state politicians are executed in some of their these are clones that we're seeing in the public. I don't personally feel that that's what's happening, because I feel that would undermine the sense of justice that people have. If people found out that this all occurred without them, I don't know if that would really instill faith in the justice system, that people were tried and executed, and now they find out after the fact that these people they loved are dead. And I mean, I think that would traumatize people in a very unhelpful way, because it's already going to be traumatic enough to even just find out that, let's say you're like a woman who has always looked up to Hillary Clinton, like your whole life, right? Let's say since you were a little girl, you saw her as a feminine leader in the world, standing up to corrupt men. I know a lot of like people do align that way. I mean, it's going to be so traumatic to find out the scale of criminality and these things that will finally be exposed that have been so expertly covered up. That's already a lot of trauma. I do doubt that people in sort of white hat positions of power would do it in an underhanded way like that. I doubt it. But if they did, I guess that would be them trying to execute some higher version of justice. And I know that there's been the expansion of Gitmo, and there has been preparation for high-level prisoners. But I don't know. I think the clone theory, I would say clones are probably used, or not probably, but the theory that's made the most sense to me is that this is something that's used like as an asset if they need to shift like someone's appearance, or to have someone somewhere while they're doing something else. I have seen evidence that alludes to that, and I think possibly that's being used. There's some interesting theories about Joe Biden just straight up not being Joe Biden anymore. Some of that could be plastic surgery. Some of that could be clone stuff. Like I know I saw people saw that the shape of his ears changed, and I don't know. There are weird things. There are weird things. Theory, though, it is theory. It is conspiracy theory, and that's fine. I personally stand for conspiring or theorizing about conspiracies. I don't think it's a dangerous, scary thing. I think we can be responsible about it. But if we don't have people in this world theorizing about the secret consolidation of power, then we're screwed. We need conspiracy theorists. So I don't know. I stand by it very firmly. I'll put on my tinfoil hat. I don't care. Let's see what y'all are doing here. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about, Amanda? I know that we had some interesting like oils that we were exploring in the chat in our challenge, and you've had some interesting experiences with them lately, like with our cats. Yeah, this has been kind of blowing my mind.
True.
So we had a really, really sick cat. Like we were kind of like, oh no, is she dying? Because she's really old. And then Amanda applied this copaiba essential oil, and this cat like completely healed like right away. I'm gonna check some of these questions.
It was really incredible. She was experiencing, blood in the sinuses, and a lot of respiratory struggle. After 2-3 days, maybe 4 days in total, but 3 days of amping it up, and it just shifted, after the second day. So, yeah, I mean, we're working on one of our other cats now too.
We'll see what happens. That'd be cool if it duplicates. Like, it would be very stark evidence for us, anyways.
It's quite powerful.
It's you said it's a part of, it works with the endocannabinoid system, right?
Yeah, exactly. It has endocannabinoids in it, so it's that was another cat too. That was a Ricky. That was a different cat. We do use essential oils on him too, but he wasn't the one who was dealing with the respiratory stuff this week.
Yeah.
But I usually treat them all anyway, because they're all around each other all the time. Yeah.
Oh, it says our video is buffering. No. Yeah, so we've been really enjoying as a family, like working way more with essential oils. So Amanda has recently really like gone deep into this and really has started working with essential oils herself and like for our family and starting to develop our own medicines. I mean, this is so huge to me because even as someone who was, relatively woke about the pharmaceutical industry and the way Western medicine kind of manipulates our views of health and wellness, even then, even as someone who had dug through all of that, I really did not have a sense of how therapeutic essential oils really were. And so I'll admit that to a certain extent, a lot of the propaganda worked on me because I didn't pay attention to what is obviously so medicinal. The essence of plants, distilled is, I mean, all the metaphysics I understand makes that very obvious as something very powerful. So it's been like a major experience for us finding out that we can have like a panoply of oils in our house and that, they're like, each one is like a Swiss Army knife of little solutions and, from like healing things to just like cleaners and all this stuff. So I don't know, it's been kind of a game changer for me. It's been very exciting.
Yeah, it is kind of life changing.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
A lot of people have those experiences because there's so many ways to utilize it. Emotionally, physically.
Oh, we have a question. What oils do you use for what? By chakras, colors, elements? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's true. There are so many angles you could take.
Yeah.
For example, recently we were doing some abundance work and I used turmeric essential oil, bergamot essential oil, ginger, to really, and put it on the solar plexus and really to try to, get at whatever that is there that might be blocking abundance, and heal it and work through those things.
Yeah. I mean, getting into the vibrations of the oils and stuff.
The really vibrations helps. Of oils in general are incredibly high frequency, because it contains so much plant in one small bottle. They're quite high, but then each oil too has a different frequency. So, but all essential oils are much higher than the human body's frequency. Yeah. So, if you want to deal with things in that plane, and it really can help uplift very quickly.
Yes, doTERRA is a great company. True.
Yeah,
that's really been really eye-opening. I was thinking about this today because we've been focusing on doTERRA oils. That was like Amanda has started working as a doTERRA. What's the title?
Wellness advocate.
Yeah, you're a wellness advocate. But see, for me, it was really stark because a couple I guess like 6 months ago, I found super cheap oils in Little India in Toronto. And I was like, oh, dang, these are like $4 each. Great, look at these awesome essential oils. And then like the more we were working with them, I was like, these smell weird. Like this one, what is going on? Why does the rosemary smell like fish? Like there was just weird stuff going on. And I just realized the level of impurity that that really can come in an essential oil is like really gross and messed up. And of course, right? Of course, there are like sloppy farming practices and pollutants and things like that. So that's been a kind of a game changer too, is just like level of purity. And like I've studied a lot in my metaphysical studies, subtlety and the importance of like subtle energies and the importance of like subtle changes. Even when we deal with homeopathics, we're talking about very, very subtle particles having a large impact. And so recognizing that even like subtle increases in purity has an exponentially like larger impact, especially when you're dealing with something like distilled like that, was not something I had considered deeply enough.
Yeah, and if it's something that you're, inhaling and it crosses the blood-brain barrier, we talk a lot about other things we don't want doing that.
Yeah, I didn't know that inhaling oils initially, like before us working with it, went through the blood-brain barrier. I had no idea. It makes sense now.
Yeah.
Can you go into the frequencies a little bit? Yeah.
Well, I haven't studied it too much, but I think the human frequency is like somewhere around like 65 or something like that. And
Rose was the highest, right?
I think Rose might be. If anyone else knows, I don't know. But I think Rose is like 118. Yeah. So, but a lot of them are, pushing 100 in frequency. So if you think of, a human being being around 60, 65, and then
so you're automatically, even just working with essential oils, you're automatically working with high frequency substances. But I do remember talking about Rose being extremely high in frequency. And
Rose is around, there you go.
Yeah,
exactly. That's incredible.
And I know personally, like there is something really incredible
megahertz.
about Rose, because I've had multiple experiences in my life where I felt an angelic presence arise or arrive in the space that I was in, and the whole space filled with the smell of roses. This has happened like 2, maybe 3 times in my life. So I think there is something like to that. Like I think there's something about that high frequency, and I think there's a reason sometimes beings communicate with that scent. I had heard of that happening to people before it happened to me, and I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know, or maybe I don't know. It was someone else's experience, but when it happened to me, it was very strong. The first time it happened, I was in a hotel room, and people were like, they were doing like different meditations and channeling work, and the whole hotel room filled with the smell of fresh roses. But the second time it happened, I was outside. I was out like on a summer day, and I was sitting on some rocks doing some healing work with a client I'd been working with like a young child who I was working with to help. He was having trouble getting through the school system. So we were outside doing like some meditation work, and the whole space filled with the smell of roses. So, you can understand, like on a windy day outdoors, you're sitting there and this intense smell of roses fills the space and does not go away while you're doing this whole meditation, and does not leave until you're done the practice. It becomes very, very obvious that there's something going on. So clearly, if you're working with like an essential oil, this is a pathway to divine energies. It can be a pathway to working with divine beings, if that's, something that's familiar for you, safe for you. Huge access point, I would say. I would even say the other night, I had a crazy experience because I was having a really hard night. I was like clearing really deep, like childhood trauma. Like I was in the depths of it. It was really, really rough because, the world shadows coming out, our shadows are all coming out, all this stuff. So anyways, Amanda handed me these 2 oils. And it was,
I?
Yes. It was geranium and something else. I can't remember what the other one was. But it was so strong, it was almost too much for me. Like I was in I was in a place of mourning, remember? I was in a place of mourning, and the oils were so strong that it kind of made me want to giggle, while I was also like tragically falling apart inside from just processing this like horrible trauma. But then also like it made me want to giggle at the same time, and I was uncomfortable with it, because I was like, what? Oh God, I can't feel both things at once. But this is how strong it was. Like when I was really, really, really in the depths of like serious clearing, serious shadow stuff, it offered me a path to just like lightness in that moment. And while I wasn't totally ready to embrace it, just because that's where I was authentically at, I was like, damn, like that just completely opened up my brain chemistry in a way that was stronger than what I was experiencing. It was pretty bonkers. It's pretty bonkers. So
yeah, I do remember that. I remember you being like, it was too strong. It was forcing me into something.
Well, you know, to be real, like it's hard for me to deal with that stuff. Like I find it hard to go through the early like childhood stuff. I find it very difficult to be with it and to like allow the feelings. Like my impulse is to not allow the feelings to really reach their full depth, because like I feel things very, 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 very deeply. So if I allow it, like it's going to be intense. And so I'm like, I'm very reticent. So for me, it was like, woohoo, I'm feeling it. I'm doing it. I'm feeling the depths of like, you know, clearing this and moving through it. And then I smell the oil. I'm like, wait, no, it's not letting me finish. So, you know, I'd say it's a testament. You know, I think it's really worth people considering. And, you know, admittedly, I've had similar experiences with crystals and things like that. But this was probably the most stark experience I've had with that kind of natural healing. And, you know, this makes so much more sense of why pharmaceutical companies are so threatened. Now, I don't know if anyone here has seen the Netflix series Unwell, but they have the first episode on essential oils, and it's some real slick propaganda. You know, if you want a good study of propaganda, check it out.
That's fascinating.
But we're thinking of making some content on that and unpacking what they're really up to there, because, well, I mean, frankly, it's kind of offensive because it just paints like middle-aged women as like dumb, or vulnerable moms and women. It just like it attacks women. It basically says like women are just like easily preyed upon by these evil essential oil companies. Evil essential oil companies is really their angle, which is pretty rich because they're saying these are dangerous for the home, and
yes,
then they allow like Clorox and Mr. Clean and all that's not dangerous. God. Anyways, yeah, so we're gonna be releasing some info on some new challenges we have coming up. We have a little chat space on Telegram, so you know, we invite people to come join and hang out with us there and chat.
Yeah, patriarchy, exactly.
Yeah, it's super. It was the Unwell thing was super patriarchal. It was ugly. It was very ugly. Yeah. And really, doTERRA is an amazing company. It's true. I have to admit, I didn't even know they were helping with human trafficking and all sorts of like really high vibe things that are super important. And you know, I think it's been an eye opener for me in terms of purity and ways forward. You know, how to move forward, how to make things sustainable. So, yeah, really exciting. Before we wrap up, does anyone have any more questions? We're so glad to have you guys here. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to do these weekly. That's our goal.
One of the kids tried to stay up and join us, but
we
couldn't handle it.
We almost had a toddler in the live tonight. I'm so glad we don't. Do you work with crystals too? Have you ever heard of Andara crystals?
I haven't.
Iris,
have you?
What is an Andara crystal? I've never heard of that. No, but we do work very intensely with crystals.
We do.
When Amanda and I first met, we literally just slept in beds of crystals together. We literally, when we first met, we threw a bunch of crystals into the bed and we just slept with like 10 crystals each night.
Sure. Yeah. A huge part of our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much with the kids in the bed, but
no, we don't do that so much anymore. But it was yeah, I had never slept with so many crystals. Yes.
Very powerful.
It's really important, I think, to surround ourselves with crystals to keep connected to those subtle forms of energy. You know, there's always subtle energies beneath everything. Everything is arising from subtle energies. So, you know, crystals and oils and just subtle states of consciousness to be cultivated are really, really important. We were talking about that a lot today, that the intuitive voice within you is so quiet, really, in all of us. It's a little whisper, but
yeah, for sure.
Oh, hello, Claire. My sister Claire is here. Hi, Claire. Simon helped me tap into the power of crystals years ago when I thought they were just colorful rocks. Aha, yes. I roped you into the crystal world. I'm very glad to have done that. My the woo, all the spiritual woo.
It's so funny.
You know, my first experience.
Remember we used to hide crystals under people's stuff, like employees
I
of
forgot about
ours
this.
who we were like, ooh, they're kind of giving us a little hard time. So we
Oh,
would just
yeah.
like tape crystals underneath their chairs or like
Yes.
whatever.
Yes, we had like secret
Stuff
crystal
them
missions.
in places, and if there was a desk or whatever.
There was someone I was working with, and I was really worried that they were unwell. I was so worried about this person. I felt like they had like cancer or some sort of deep depression or something inside their body where I was like, there's deep darkness not being acknowledged, and I'm really concerned for this person. And so I did. Actually, I chose a crystal for this person. When they weren't at their desk, I I went to their office chair. I found a little metal compartment in the mechanism of the chair, and I hid a crystal there so that every time that person sat down to do work, there was a crystal underneath their sacral chakra and supporting them. Some
I was
some
definitely
ninja
a crystal
stuff.
fairy for years. Like I would, go over to a friend or family place, and I would just like accidentally leave them behind, and they'd be like, "Oh, you left your crystal." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you know what? Just chill on that for a while, or drop it in someone's bag or purse when they come over." Just I couldn't help myself. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else we want to offer before we go? I think that's it for today. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out. We greatly appreciate it, and we really look forward to just cultivating more community and offering more to you guys. So yes, Lee, I know we need to be all talking about crystals more. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you everyone for coming to our live chat, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week, and we'll see some of you in other places on the internet.
Awesome. Thanks everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Sweet.